can and will be heard and saved for all time on YouTube. Everyone. Well. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, and today is Tuesday, October 15th. The time is 9:02 a.m. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Loops?
Here.
Nelson?
Here.
Scaler?
Here.
Hoffman? Spiz?
Present.
Gershenson?
Here.
Harrison Galt?
Here.
Joliet?
Here.
Johnson?
Here. Thank you very much. Commissioner Gershenson, would you kindly lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, I would entertain a motion to approve minutes dated October 1st, 2024. Moved by Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Minutes have been approved. I would entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. Moved by Commissioner Loop, seconded by Commissioner Taylor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The agenda's been approved. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on any item on the agenda today, now is the time for public comment. You have 3 minutes apiece at the front of the table. Anyone for items on today's agenda? Sure, go ahead. You could just state your name and where you live. You've got 3 minutes.
My name is Tiffany Mason and I'm a resident of Royal Oak. I'm also an employee of Oakland County Parks. I'm here today to discuss the Little Oaks contract. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. I just want to start by saying that I recognize that with this, the proper RFP process was absolutely followed in this bid. And I'm not here to attack human resources by any means, but I do feel like during the course of that process, Learning Care Group didn't provide sufficient evidence that they're the superior vendor. In looking at the scoring data, it really seems Learning Care Group won this bid because they're willing to provide lunches to students at the same cost that parents are currently paying. While I admit that's a tempting amenity, I don't think it's worth sacrificing the proven level of care that we currently enjoy from Bright Horizons. I think if you surveyed more than 2 parents, you'd find that they agree. Admittedly, I don't know what Learning Care Group's curriculum looks like. And the reason for that is because we haven't been provided any information on that to date. During the last parent meeting, we only got 2 links to the provider's website, which is designed to only provide high-level information and not specifics on day-to-day lesson plans or philosophy. Is this a Montessori school? Do they encourage the use of technology? I couldn't tell you. I also don't know how they are as an employer. But what I do know is many Little Oaks employees have left Learning Care Group centers, and most, when you ask them directly, have expressed that they don't plan to stay if this switch is made. And shouldn't that be concerning to us? Parents were told several weeks ago that Learning Care Group would be in contact with current Little Oaks staff soon. The staff, however, was told that there would be no engagement until after the contract is approved by this body. I'm told wages are lower with Learning Care Group for new hires, which I don't think is an appealing way to attract new talent. And I know Oakland County prides itself in finding and keeping exceptional employees. What I'm saying is that with so many unknowns and just 2 points difference in the bid scoring, are you sure this considerable change is worth the risk? I encourage you to vote no on this contract, and I thank you in advance for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on items on the agenda? Hi.
Hello.
Just,
I have handouts for everybody if you want to take one and pass it.
You could just state your name and where you live.
My name is Chelsea. I live in Commerce and I work for Judge Warren. Good morning, Commissioners. First and foremost, I want to emphasize that the parents' voices do matter. Recently, we were asked by HR to provide our opinions on the new provider. Why were parents not involved in the discussion from the very start of this process? The decision to switch providers was monumental, excuse me, and our input should have been solicited long ago. HR has repeatedly assured us that their goal is continuity, yet the actions that we are seeing is telling a different story. If maintaining consistency is truly the objective, then why replace Bright Horizons at all? Bright Horizons has served Oakland County with a dedication for over a decade without a single complaint. They scored just 2 points lower than LCG in the RFP guidelines, hardly enough to warrant a change. This only strengthens my suspicion that the budget cuts are driving this decision. In fact, Little Oaks update published by HR states lower subsidy required from Oakland County Fringe Benefit Fund. Why were only 2 parents who were handpicked by HR able to participate in the RFP process? This raises questions about bias and priorities behind this decision. It feels as though financial considerations are being placed above the well-being of our children, who deserve to be the focus of this discussion. HR has always emphasized its commitment to the employee's happiness, employees' wellness, and being the employer of choice. Yet during this process, the input of the Oakland County employees were blatantly disregarded. I must also express my concerns about HR's qualifications to make such a life-altering decision. How can individuals who have little to no experience in the day-to-day operations of a child care facility make such a crucial choice? Let's not forget about the overwhelming feedback from parents. Numerous letters were submitted in support of Bright Horizons during the RFP process. The concerns I bring forward represent a significant number of families, some of them who are here, who depend on Bright Horizons for the well-being of our children. This gives a true sense of just how many of us are troubled by this decision. Finally, I stand here before you not just as a mother, but as a dedicated employee of Oakland County for over a decade, as a voter, and as an advocate for our children. My son is my entire world, and when I drop him off each day, I do so with complete confidence that the staff at Bright Horizons, with complete confidence in the staff at Bright Horizons. I choose to drive past multiple LCG facilities and other daycare options on my way to work because I believe in the exceptional quality of care that Bright Horizons provides. The staff at Little Oaks also makes the same choice. I've been told that it is premature to assume that the staff will leave and follow Bright Horizons, but it's not. HR has yet to engage with the staff and to understand where their loyalty lies, but I have. After personally speaking with them, it is clear that they plan to leave Bright Horizons. This is not just about convenience or budget. It's about trust, security, and the well-being of our children. We cannot afford to lose the dedicated caregivers who we know and trust and love our children. The bond between staff, parents, and children is not just one that can easily be replaced. Today, I beg you to consider the implications of this decision. Our children rely on us to advocate for their best interests, and it is our responsibility to ensure their votes are heard through ours. I stand before you advocating for the continuation of Bright Horizons at Little Oaks. Our children deserve nothing but the best, and together we can ensure that they receive it. I urge you to vote no on the Learning Care Group and continue with the current provider. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment today?
It's not on the agenda, correct?
There is a communication item, yes.
It's communication, but we're not voting
We are
on
not
the
voting on it.
contract or anything like that. We're just voting on the communicate, to accept the
receive it.
communication.
Correct. Anything else for public comment? Okay, thank you all very much. We'll move on to our communications then. We've got just one from Human Resources. Team HR, did you want to talk about this at all? All right, welcome to the front.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you for accepting the communication on this agenda. We recently had another parent meeting where I did provide some updated information on Learning Care Group and the on the RFP process. Our Chief Procurement Officer also provided an update on that process. We are still within, the negotiation period for the Little Oaks contract, kind of fine tuning those details. We have reached a point now that Learning Care Group will be able to come in and meet with the parents. We're coordinating that meeting, and with the teachers, so we're coordinating that meeting currently. So we really feel that this process was fair, and that we are keeping in mind, we understand change is hard for parents. And this is not the first time that the daycare has changed hands. So we
I think if we wait until we finish the contract negotiation process and have a detailed contract for consideration, we'll be in a position to talk about more specifics. I think part of the frustration is the timeframe of this, that it has taken so long and that there haven't been specifics available. But that's because of the procurement and contract negotiation process. So we had to reach a point in time that we had firm commitment, letter of understanding from the county and the learning care group in order for them to approach staff. Because before then, it wouldn't have been appropriate for them to approach people about employment details until we had that level of commitment, which I believe came last week.
Yes.
So, absolutely the process could have gone more quickly. And I think that's been part of the bump in the road is not being able to communicate more specifics quicker to the families. So regrettably, that's where we are. And I think when we have more details, hopefully that will assuage some of the concerns and give some more particulars. But we are at the point now where they can contact staff directly, where we can select the brand, where we can get more particulars about specific curriculum, menus, processes, their particular procedures and policies as an entity. I think I'd highlight to bear in mind that the relationship is a contractual one. So, we engage with the vendor and then it is their model that is used within the center. So we are not in the business of running the daycare, if you will. So we certainly have some influence through that contracting process. And so that's why we made sure in the RFP to highlight how critical it is to maintain staff at current wage levels, to try to match benefits to every extent possible, and to build in some of those protections to ensure the continuity if we made a selection that went a different way than Bright Horizons. So I believe next agenda is when a contract will be before you for consideration, and we'll have more particulars then. But we wanted to provide an update because I know there's been some concerns communicated.
To that end, I forgot to take the motion first. I would entertain a motion to receive and file, moved by Commissioner Erickson Cole, seconded by Commissioner Taylor. Any questions? And again, this is not about the contract. This is just about this update. Questions, Commissioner?
How many parents attended the last meeting?
25.
Out of how many total?
60 families, yeah.
Commissioner Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How were parents included in the process?
We've held periodic parent meetings. And then we had 2 parent members on the evaluation panel.
Well, I think in advance of the RFP, there was a meeting as well to
Yes.
let parents know that we
Yes.
would be going through the bid process and what the process would be and that we were going to use a selection panel. And we did include 2 external experts in this area, recognizing that, we aren't running a childcare center experts. So we engaged with someone from United Way who has extensive background in this and then from
Oakland Family
Oakland
Services.
Family Services.
Were the parents who were involved in the evaluation panel, do they presently have children at Little Oaks?
One does for sure. I'm not sure about.
Well, one was the current president of the parent group at that time, and one was a parent representative who works in HR.
And so both of them have kids presently in the daycare?
I mean, today, I guess I'd have to check and see at the time that the process began. Yes, they did.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner?
Two small questions. I'm not familiar with Little Oaks, so could you tell me the age range of the children?
It goes from infant up to school age. They have school age summer programs.
Okay, and for the bid process, did any of the vendors interact with any of the children? Or have you seen any of how they react with children of those ages? You know what I'm trying to say? Like
Right, during the bid process, I mean, we're dealing with their contractual people.
Okay, I don't wanna get out of my
Yeah.
lane, but I just wanna understand, cause for me, it's the child. The parents, the children first and then the parents, that will be the most impacted by whatever changes that are made here.
Right,
But
and
I wanna stay where I belong, but that's my interest.
yeah, I completely understand. And so Learning Care Group is the corporate top entity, yes, and they have multiple brands of childcare centers underneath them. So that's part of our negotiation process, is which brand we'll be bringing in to run the center. As far as how the staff of this individual centers interact with kids, because our plan is, our hope is that the current staff of Little Oaks will stay on.
Okay. I'm only concerned because of the mental stress that it puts on a child, the change. If you're gonna change something, and especially, I know because I have small grandchildren. And when we change their schedule in sometimes the smallest way, then we'll get either they withdraw or overact or cry for mommy or something like that. Will the staff be prepared to handle those kind of changes? It's just something for you to think about
Yes.
if that change goes on. That's where my concern is, like I said, with the child and then the parent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Christensen.
When do you anticipate this change would happen?
So the current contract ends on December 31st.
Okay, so it wouldn't be implemented till next year.
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know, Heather, in conversations I know you and I have had, cameras. Cameras tend to be a very large concern. I know that at the time you and I spoke, it was uncertain where we fell with that. What is the current update on having cameras in each
So-
classroom?
Learning Care Group did say that would be a decision that we would make. In our last parent meeting on Friday, I had asked all of the parents to reach out to me individually to let me know their comfort with cameras in the classrooms. And we will take that into consideration.
Is that something that has to be negotiated in the contract, given it's something that the Learning Care Group, it seems, is a selling point on their end of security?
If we tell them, no, we don't want cameras, they will not put cameras in.
Thank you.
There are currently cameras in the center, yes, like in the hallways
In
and
the
doorways,
hallways,
yeah.
not in
So
the
this would be in the
classrooms.
classroom.
Commissioner Harrison called followed by Commissioner Christensen.
Thank you, Chair. How long has the current provider been in place?
Since 2015. We've had a long history. They were our initial when the center opened in 2000. And then we've switched hands since then, and then they bought out one of the provider before them. So since about 2015.
Commissioner Christensen.
I just wanted to let this committee know that when I did look at the makeup of the people on the decision makers, we worked with Alice Figueroa from United Way, and she was pretty impressive. It really gave me a lot of confidence when I saw that she was on the committee that made this decision. But also on the issue of cameras, it seems to me there are cameras everywhere now and that it's a security issue. Is that the basis for wanting cameras in the classroom to see if there's any abuse or if there's any?
So it's twofold. It is a security measure, but it also allows parents to have a peek into their child's day.
What do you mean the parents?
So the parents will be able to, if cameras are in the classroom, the parents will be able to access their child's classroom and only their child's classroom
At any time?
on an app on their phone.
At
Yes.
any time?
At
If
any
they're
time.
over here at work, they can look in?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'd point out that in addition to parents' input about the cameras, the other pieces of input that are going to be critical are from FMNO. Could our facility handle the installation of those,
Correct.
you know, from a facilities point of view? And then IT does extensive justification and look at all the background framework of how these systems run to make sure that they're absolutely secure.
Yes.
Part of what is a blessing, but sometimes a frustration in our selection processes is how intricate the IT review is of anything that we do that involves bringing in technology in that way, because we want to make sure that anything to do with Oakland County systems are on tight lock. And so those are two kind of hurdles to get over if we even pass the point of parents are really interested in this. Those would be two other things we need to, handle before we even flick an on switch.
Commissioner Loops.
So my understanding is the reason for the RFP is because this contract ended.
Yes, so all of Oakland County's contracts are written for a maximum of 5 years. At the fifth, in the 5th year, the contract has to go out to bid, and that was set by board policy.
So 5 years ago, this process was the same and Bright Horizons won the contract again?
Yes.
Okay. In the data entry or the scoring system, is there a line item for any moral or ethical consideration of the comfort or the uniformity of staff working with the children?
So I believe that we had, so one of the scoring mechanisms on the initial bid, when the bid first went out, was their plan for continuity for the current families and staff.
Thank you. It's not exactly where I was going, so you're probably not speaking to it correctly, but the comfort level of the children is with someone familiar and how that affects the child, as has been mentioned a couple of times here this morning.
I think when we present the contract too, maybe we can provide to you some information about turnover rates with Bright Horizons as well. Because I know that, every daycare setting, it is a high turnover field. And so certainly it's our goal to maintain continuity with current staff. But that is something that happens too, just in the day-to-day. I think in the last year, parents have experienced some turnover as well with
Yes.
staff. So, that's absolutely, our goal is to maintain continuity of staff.
Commissioner Taylor, I saw your hand.
I just wanted to comment on the cameras. My daughter has that on their app, and it works. And they do leave it, well, at the daycare, they leave it up to the parents, where you can sign that you want it or you don't. So you don't have to, it's up to the parents. But they offer that, and my daughter takes advantage of it, and anytime she's got a minute, she's clicking in that phone, looking at where the babies are. So it's more of a convenience and a comfort level for the parents that I find.
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Upon looking at the evaluation scoring, it's very clear that the lowest points earned across the board for Bright Horizons was under the proposed nutritional programs and sample menus, 2 out of 5. Learning Care Group received 5 out of 5, given that the total possible point scoring came so close, 85 to 87. And knowing that Bright Horizons received a 2, how meaningful are the nutritional programs and menus based upon the parent feedback and input throughout this process?
I mean, it was communicated to us initially from the parents that they would like to see the meals brought back into the center.
And there was a majority consensus overall. I mean, how many parents
Of the
overall?
parents. It was, we didn't survey each parent, do you want meals brought back? But it was a pretty consistent communication request that it would be nice if we could get meals back to the center.
And lastly, Mr. Chair, and again, I know that this is gonna be coming up again. Do we know the cost difference between the current contract and the proposed contract?
It was about,
Well, we need to finalize the terms of the contract and get a final number.
So we can talk about that then.
When the contract.
When the contract comes.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more details, because we need to figure out the things like the cameras that could,
Understand.
add or minus, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, motion on the table is, Commissioner.
Hi, thank you very much. I always say if it's not broken, why fix it? So there's 2 points difference between the evaluation, right? 87 points versus 85. But we don't know financially, what's the basis for wanting to switch? I guess I'm a little confused. Are the people who are there, Bright Horizons doing a good job right now? They've been there a long time.
the current center staff
Yes, very
Okay,
much so.
but, and you can't tell us if it's a financial issue, what's the reason we want to switch? Because of 2 points? What am I missing?
I mean, no, it's not as simple as 2 points, and I'm not here to, throw Bright Horizons under the bus,
Oh, I
if you
appreciate
will. There were some advantages to the local Michigan Novi-based company that was selected. Finance is not the reason that, Learning Care Group was identified, but it is a consideration. We're talking about 60 or some families, and a subsidy that's considerable, so that is part of the decisioning process. But also wanting to have more responsiveness from our vending partner, wanting to have a closer relationship with them and how the center is run. Again, I feel uncomfortable talking about specific instances at a public meeting, but we have had instances. I've only been here for 2 years. We've had a handful of calls about concerns about children. We have currently an incident under investigation about what's happened to a child in a classroom. So it is not to paint Bright Horizons as having done anything wrong, because the staff there is great and we want to keep them. But they're not perfection. There is room to look at other options and alternatives. And we prioritized Learning Care Group as the better of the two.
Okay, I guess just kinda hard to make a decision when we don't have all the information.
Well, you will,
You're not making a decision
have
today.
more
Yeah.
information.
I know that, I
Yeah.
know, but
And, the other tough spot is I understand how delicate this decisioning process is, but it's not typical that we would put a process like this up to a vote of the users, if you will, of the service. That's, we talked with them, is there room for improvement? Sure, some lessons learned. But we did engage before the process. We did try to pull together a decisioning board that would be balanced, with including people that have subject matter expertise, parents, people from HR, so that we have the administrative,
thank you.
Last one, and then I got
I wanted to piggyback off of something that Commissioner Hoffman said. If my memory stands correct, HR had come to Lago, and I know we had some very early initial conversations of a lot of changes that potentially that were gonna happen and come down through the pipeline. Benefits was a big conversation, a lot of bargaining agreements back then. But the one thing that also, if my memory serves correct, is that we did talk about the future of the Fringe Benefit Fund. And there was discussions, 3 years ago at least, in regards to, for lack of better words, trimming some fat around that fringe benefit fund. It is concerning, and at that point, we didn't have specifics of what that might look like, but as we now are moving forward with this business, knowing too, again, I'm stuck on the 2 points. I'm gonna be really honest with you. That is concerning, and I think if there's anything I've heard loud and proud with HR, especially this year and even last year, is really emphasizing and prioritizing the wellness of our employees from a retention perspective. And I just can't wrap my head around going through this process, choosing a different vendor. 2 points is a very small margin, and so I'm eager to learn more of the details as we lead into our next committee meeting. But I definitely have some grave concerns, especially given the emphasis a couple years ago placed upon reducing that fringe benefit fund.
we look forward to sharing more details with you. And I will say that while absolute consideration is given to continuity and to the current parent preferences to the extent possible, we're also planning for the future. So we're looking forward to the next 10 years of what the center will be and what the right fit is to carry the center forward. So we're balancing, both the here and now and the preferences of the day against what the future requires. So we look forward to sharing the details, and hopefully that will settle some concerns, and we're engaged in ongoing conversations with the parents. Like Heather said, we've got some meetings upcoming, so we'll continue to communicate with parents as we go along. Without a doubt, like I said, I know some people not satisfied with the outcome and the decisioning, and that's okay. We'll keep moving forward and see where we land.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you to my commissioners for having a good and thoughtful conversation. conversation. Thank you, Team HR, for being forthcoming and answering and providing information and an update. And thanks to members of the public for coming to chat about this and sharing your concerns too. Motion on the table is to proceed and file. Madam Clerk, would you please prompt the vote? And a reminder, mine did not pop up, but I hit that e-vote button and it worked like a charm.
Tried it didn't work like a charm.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the written public comment.
Is that a thing we can do? Can we do that?
Yeah,
I've
you
never
can
done
do
that
that.
before. Sure. Motion to receive and file the physical documents.
Support.
And seconded by Commissioner Lubes. All in favor, I'm just gonna say, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Documents have been received. I'm not sure how that works, but they have been, so there you go.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Moving on then to presentation, Jim, my good friend Jim. Papa's going at the front of the table and I promise you, I know what you're gonna say, but I promise you, I do not know what's going on in Lansing. So what's going on in Lansing?
I was not gonna say that.
Thank you.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
For another 3 weeks.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Nice to see you all. It's been a while. I wish I could come here today to tell you that there's been a lot of things going on in Lansing. However, that would not be true. As is typical of an election year, we don't have many session days in which the House and Senate is in town voting on legislation. And this year is no exception. We have not been meeting very often throughout this summer. And we have a couple weeks left until the election. Obviously, you know that is better than anybody. So that's not to say that there haven't been conversations going on with House and Senate leadership and the administration about an agenda for lame duck. Lame duck would take place following the November 5th election. The House and Senate would are scheduled to return that first week. And then 2 weeks off for deer hunting and Thanksgiving. And then return in December for whatever days they want to come back. Typically, we see very few days at the first 2 weeks in December, simply because most work has been done. However, this year, there are a lot of things that I think many members of the legislature as well as administration would like to get done in lame duck. So there's a possibility that it could be a very active lame duck. And what will determine whether or not we do anything or we do nothing is what happens in the election. As you know, we've discussed this in the past. There's a very narrow majority in the House. And if the majority should flip, there would probably be some motivation on the part of the majority party to get some things done because they will not be the majority when they return in January. But again, if the majority maintains its majority following November 5th, there's still some interest in getting some things done that have been boiling around for a while that seem to have some pretty broad support throughout the legislature and administration. On top of that list, I would say would be the economic development package. There seems to be broad, I wouldn't say support, but interest in getting something done with respect to this, what we're referring to as an economic development package, which would consist of a number of things. A payroll tax deduction, SOAR funding, which has been depleted, the Michigan Economic Development Corp has used SOAR to attract businesses or to help businesses who want to expand over the last 2 years. And that fund has been depleted, and there's some interest, I think, both from the legislature and the administration to re-supplement the balance in that account. Also part of the economic development package would be R&D credits. We use these to attract new businesses to Michigan. There is a major project being considered here in the state, which would offer a huge development and employ a lot of people that doesn't seem to have, well, there's been an article in the paper, so that it is out there, but it's very quietly being negotiated behind the scenes. It's a huge business development up in the Flint area. So I think that there's an opportunity and an interest on the part of both Democrats and Republicans to do something in this area of economic development, and the governor as well. Also, there's been talk of a supplemental. There's money left over from the year, and typically we do a supplemental before we leave, expending the dollars that are still available to be spent that are not part of the budget process. Again, that's a difficult thing because, you know, let's say there's $100 million in there, well, there's $6 billion worth of requests from the legislature as to where they should go. So finding consensus on how to spend what's there is gonna be very difficult. So I really can't tell you exactly what's gonna happen. I don't think anybody knows what's gonna happen. The leaders have no idea until the elections. And even then, when the elections do get certified and they return, again, it's been 2 years of a very narrow majority and things have been difficult to get passed. So I don't have a lot of specifics for you, but that generally seems to be the opinion of us who watch this process on a daily basis. So I won't say anything, Commissioner Johnson, about what you may know or may not know.
It's not much, I promise. Commissioner Gershenson.
But I'm happy to answer any questions. I wish I could give you more, but there really isn't a heck of a lot going on other than trying to come back as a majority or the minority coming back as the new majority.
Well, welcome back. I understand
Thank
you
you.
had some surgery and
I'm here.
okay.
I'm alive.
Good.
So a couple months ago, I received a note from the West Bloomfield School Board about school mental health and school security, the line item that it was cut. And then I heard it was put back in, so I just want you to confirm that for me.
Now,
What do you mean, confirm it now?
I can't.
You can't, okay,
I
so I
will.
want confirmation.
But that did take place. There were a lot of cuts, the line item vetoes that the governor made at the last minute. That's what, when we talk about the supplemental, a lot of those line item vetoes, that being one of them, did not sit well with the legislature. And that supplemental, when they return, they're gonna want to put some of those things back in. Whether or not that did get reinserted, I don't know, but I'll find out.
Okay.
You're right, there was a lot of
Concern.
concerns, a good word, yes, about that line.
On both sides.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Thank you. With the economic development that you mentioned in Flint, is that the EV, is it related to the EV chips?
No,
No. Okay. I thought I heard something about that, but I appreciate you.
that's somewhere else in the state.
Okay.
More
So I'm not too far off, just
A little more
wrong
west.
geographic,
A little bit
gotcha.
more west.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think the legislature administration wanna get into that debate again, so.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Any other questions? Or I'm gonna say questions or things we want Jim to think about when the legislature gets back into session.
Oh, I forgot to, I'm sorry.
No, go for
I don't
it.
mean to interrupt you. I just glanced down at my notes. Part of the ED also are transit dollars, which I know are very important to this board and your chairman.
Yes.
That's part of the conversation, but I don't think there's as much support for that at this time as there is for some of the other issues that I mentioned. But transit is part of economic development conversation. Sorry, Commissioner.
No, all good. Why, that was easy. We'll probably see December? Is that, or is this the last one?
I'll have to look, but
I'd like to think that we'll see you in December.
December would be good.
That sounds correct.
You're the.
I would like to see you again in December,
Okay.
so I'll see you in
There you go.
December.
After your hunting break?
You know, that is so, it's like a religion in Lansing. I don't know if any, I certainly am not hunting. Do I look like a
It is a religion. I mean, they've tried to
I
mess
take
with
it
it in the
seriously.
past and it's like,
Oh.
I don't wanna go there.
December 3rd, yes, I do have it on the agenda for December.
December 3rd, we'll see you on December 3rd. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's nice to see everybody.
Likewise.
And give me a call if I can help you with it.
Thank you.
And I know we'll look for your response to that, March.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, moving right along then, folks, we've got 3 items for discussion and potential action if we would like to be proactive. And I appreciate the times that we've been proactive in the past. Just kind of a rough overview of all A, B, and C under 9. They are all chairs of their respective boards. They're all expiring at the end of this calendar year, and all of them are interested in reappointment. We could solicit new applications, we could simply say that they're all reappointed because they're all doing a good job, but I'm open to having the conversations collectively or one at a time. Who wants to go first? Commissioner Loobs.
I would move we reappoint all 3 chairs of the 3 different boards.
That is a motion.
I'm gonna
Can we do them all together or do we
I would
have to
do
separate them?
separate, might want,
Yeah.
just my suggestion, because reading the motion on each one of these.
You need to name stuff.
Keep it clean.
Let's keep it clean, let's keep
Thank you.
it discussion.
Yeah, I do not support that.
You do not support,
I do not. I have an issue with one of the appointees.
okay,
We can
And,
do one at a time.
But I also
Yeah.
wanna say that we've been here before, and I believe there was some issue, if my memory serves me well, with the road commission appointment, that it is not an appointment of the Lago committee, but it is an appointment of the chair. But I want you to get clarification of that, cause we had a big snafu, we've had issues before over road commission appointment. So I think you need to get clarification from the chair on that.
could,
Parks and Rec, have we talked to anybody about how that committee is functioning?
I've reached out.
Okay, I'm not finished. And then on the building, the same thing. Have we spoken to anybody about how these committees are functioning before we reappoint?
no,
Okay.
but to the point of your discussion, let's go one at a time then. I'm gonna open discussion on A, building authority appointment. So, anyone on building authority? Commissioner Spitz,
Move to reappoint Mr. McPherson.
I support.
okay, any discussion?
I'd like to request to get an update. I know that when Mr. McPherson was appointed to this authority previously, we were just embarking on the Pontiac redevelopment project.
Road or building? That was
Are
building.
we talking about building?
We're talking about
authority?
building.
Yes.
He's on the road one too, yeah, it's on.
Yes, he's also on the road commission as well. But specifically for the building authority, I know we were right on the brink of the Pontiac redevelopment project. And now that we've got some time underneath our belt with that, I would love to get an update from Mr. McPherson because I know that that was something that was thoroughly discussed during the previous committee discussions
Yeah.
in regards to his position and role on that authority.
Let's do that, can we just do that at our?
I'd like to see an overall update,
Yeah.
not just the Pontiac, but overall. update.
Sure.
Oh,
Sure.
from that commission.
Yes.
Absolutely, that's essentially.
I support that.
No, I did, that was just a semicolon and also you'd like to see, not a conditional, I'd like to see.
Not specific to the Pontiac project, but
Right.
now that we've got time under our belt, and I know that it was emphasized that that the building authority may be more active
Yes.
in light of that. So that's why I referenced the Pontiac redevelopment project specifically with this.
No, I agree, and I do think, and frankly, I would like to get an update on that. Would that go to us or would that go to EDI? Actually, that's a good question. How did? I'm new here. How do updates work? If like thematically that one and road commission, oh, yeah, I'll ask you.
It'd probably be Edie and I with the committee for road guidelines,
Okay,
but we'll double check.
I will ask Yolanda to do that. Cause I agree. Any other discussion on this one though? The motion on the table is to reappoint Eric McPherson to the building authority. Would you please prompt the vote?
Oh, wait, didn't we just say we want him to come in to give an update? We're appointing him, reappointing him before he does that?
That was the motion. You're welcome to vote no.
I don't think it was conditional.
I didn't think it was conditional,
Correct.
but you're welcome to vote no.
I know that,
Okay.
thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to prompt the vote.
Yes.
Nelson? Oh, all right, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay.
He doesn't have an inside voice.
That appointment passes then. So moving on then to Parks and Rec. And this update would come to us. Commissioner Nelson?
I was gonna make a motion.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Erickson Gold, did you have?
I was gonna do the same thing, so I'll support Commissioner
What's your
Nelson.
motion then?
To recommend Ebony's reappointment.
Okay, Commissioner, just a second. Commissioner Lewis?
I was gonna make the motion or support and ask Commissioner Erickson Galt if there was any update regarding parks, as you're on the Parks Board, or how the
Sure.
board feels about the present chair.
Please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. First of all, as to Chair Bagley, she's doing a phenomenal job. She has stepped up and is leading a commission that I think is working extremely well together. At Parks in general, we have made so much progress in not only updating and upgrading and improving our existing parks, but in spreading the Oakland County Park system throughout the county, which is one of our stated goals. We've made a lot of progress from such things as building play structures and existing city parks to wholesale updates of our existing county parks and I cannot speak to a lot of the specifics because I wasn't prepared to do that this morning, but if anybody has any specific questions about how the Parks Commission is operating or Chair Bagley, I'd be happy to do my best to answer.
Questions for Commissioner?
I did reach out to a couple members of the Parks and Rec Commission. Everyone had positive, great, and amazing things to say about Ebony. I know that she stepped into the chair position, I think, shortly after Commissioner McGilfrey. So I hear that she's collaborative, does a great job with leading the meetings, efficient, thorough, and it seems everyone overall is very pleased with her leadership and also as the chair.
I would add that she works extremely well with the park administration and staff, and to emphasize your point on collaboration, both within the commission and within Parks administration as well. And she is a huge cheerleader for parks generally.
The motion on the table is the reappointment of Ebony Bagley to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Madam Clerk, could you please prompt the vote?
You have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Oh, there we go, that motion also passes. Commissioner Gershenson, I asked Michael to go find out about the next one. So I would respectfully ask no motions at the hot minute, but is there a discussion that wants to be had on item Z? Commissioner Gershenson?
If we're going to postpone it,
Yeah, per the Public Act, it's the legislative body that is what I thought.
okay,
The Board
so
of Commissioners
I'm
does.
going to have to say then, which I really didn't wanna say, but there have been many concerns that have come to me about Ms. Lalonde. And there are so many people that are interested in this position. There have been union issues. I think that I would really support opening this up for interviews. But I don't wanna say that much more publicly,
No, that's
but-
fine. Is this you making a motion to go down that
Yeah,
path?
okay, I'll make a motion that this be posted
Okay,
and that we open it up.
Commissioner Juliet, are you second?
I was gonna say, respectfully, I've had great working experience with Andrea Lon in my creating of the road. She was the only one that got back with me, and was extremely knowledgeable about the process and the inner workings of the road commission. And I actually got contacted by union members with this 2 years ago, of concerns, not with her, with what was going on with the road commission, and I reached out to her. And she engaged them to come to their meeting. So I have nothing but positive things to say about my interactions with her and with my constituents that were in the opposing view.
Point of order, you have a motion.
True,
But I don't have a second.
I know, so either the motion dies, then we can move on.
or somebody's gotta make a second.
I don't think that has to be immediate.
Correct.
Someone Robert's rules me. I
I
don't.
always thought you had to have a second to have a discussion on the topic.
Yeah,
Because I'm wrong.
a motion second to put it on the table to discuss.
That's what I thought, I could be wrong.
You're not.
Okay. Is there a second for Commissioner Gershenson's motion?
I'll second it for
Second by Commissioner Tillman, but now we have to vote
Now
immediately, right?
discussion.
Now you have to vote on that, yeah.
Vote on
Can't you
the
have
motion.
one
You
more
can still have more
comment?
discussion.
I have one more comment. Are we out of the discussion period?
Well, I'm not sure. I think that we're now in a subsidiary discussion about your motion.
True.
We've temporarily exited the discussion about the item in general. But now we're discussing specifically posting. Discussion on posting. Go ahead.
So there is possibly one caveat to this of a current term appointing for a next term in an election year.
I am not Mitch McConnell. That is.
So I think in this particular case, what we probably need to do is research that a little bit more. So my suggestion would be to postpone this until we find out more information with that caveat being addressed.
I don't like that.
I don't understand.
I really don't like that.
Their term expires at the end of the
Commissioner
year.
Gershenson.
I also
Expires December
wanted to
31.
say that there is a
Nobody else takes
committee
office till next year,
investigating
so
whether or
it's
not the board is gonna be taking over the road commission. We haven't gotten a report on that. I think we need to get an update from that committee where where that whole investigation stands. The road commission might look very different.
Are you suggesting withdrawing your previous motion and instead moving to postpone?
There you go.
Yes.
Okay. Could I ask you to just repeat what I said?
Yes, I withdraw my motion to post and I will introduce a motion to postpone.
Okay,
And I'll support.
and Commissioner Taylor supports. Discussion on that motion. All in favor, please. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Nelson.
I just wanted to, I don't know if now it's appropriate given all the
Sure,
different,
either.
I'm a little confused, but I do just wanna piggyback off of something that Commissioner Joliet said. Out of the 3 members that this body, meaning the Board of Commissioners, has appointed to the Road Commission, Andrea has been the most responsive. In fact, the only member of the Road Commission that we appoint that has been responsive via phone call, email. She has always been available And I just wanna emphasize that because that's really important, especially given their appointments that the Board of Commissioners make as a recommendation.
Appreciate that, Commissioner.
Yeah.
I know Andrea personally, and I would agree with Commissioner Joliet and Nelson. She is responsive. A few years ago regarding the circumstances with the union, there are two sides to every story, and we talked about that, and I completely trust Andrea, who's always done the right thing. So I am very happy to reappoint her.
Okay, well, we'll see if we get there.
I'm sorry, I have one more thing.
Sure.
So I know we have a work group about the road commission in the county, but I don't see that happening before January 1st either. That's
Well, that's why I
sometime in
wanted
the
an
future.
update on it.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, whether that happens or it doesn't happen, I think the point is to move ahead today, and then if that should happen, then that whole structure changes.
Oh, absolutely.
So I
I'm
don't-
just
I-
asking for an update
Sure,
on that, for
absolutely.
sure.
I don't think though that that would preclude us doing an appointment, and then if that should happen, then the road commission is taken over, and then everything's restructured.
Fortunately, we have a handful of LAGO meetings before the end of the calendar year, so I'd like to think that we can figure everything out before then. But there is a motion on the table to simply postpone this to the next meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please prompt the vote? And then I would request a thorough discussion on this at our next LAGO meeting. Next LAGO is gonna be long, y'all might wanna pack a lunch.
Hey,
Taco Tuesday,
Yep.
we'll have a cater.
There you go.
Mine disappeared.
What's your vote?
No.
Gershenson?
The motion is to
Postpone.
Yes.
All right, you have 5 yeas and 4 nays.
Ooh, nail biter.
Whoa, that was a close
That
call.
motion narrowly passes. Okay, any other general discussion on the appointments process? I think this was rather productive. We got two pretty preemptively done, no? All right, cool. Moving on then to our next public comment. Anything from the public on any item under the sun? Or out in, hey, SpaceX returned that large booster. That was pretty neat. The Tigers are no longer playing. We've got 3 teams from New York City in the Final Four for baseball. I still think the Dodgers are from Brooklyn. That's it for me. Anything else? Any other business?
Besides the Mets and the Yankees.
Mets, Yankees, and the Dodgers claim to be from LA, but I call them the Brooklyn Dodgers,
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Well,
Yes.
I would like to introduce Misha Joassen. And she comes to us from Weber Shandek, 20 plus years in the public communications and public relations field. Graduate of Central Michigan University, so go Chips.
Go Chips, yeah.
And I just wanted, she's taking over Sarah's old position in the marketing and communications officer. And she'll be leading the team over there. And if you have any questions for her, or want to have a proclamation that you'd like done or anything like that, obviously you can go through me, but they'll eventually be directed to Misha here. So I just wanted you all to introduce her and then welcome her aboard.
Welcome.
That's it.
Thank you. Anything else? Anything last call. All right, meeting's adjourned at 10 o'clock exactly.
Good.